humorous. It was only true, you know, until I blew it so much out of the realm of possibility. That's when it was funny. You know, you wanted the basis, you wanted to be funny. You know, okay, I understand this, I can relate to this, and after that, you just want to blow it out. So, I mean, how could you even think of something like that, you know?
Are there certain things that you know people will laugh at?
You want to say you hope people are gonna laugh, and the worst feeling you get, right? The worst feeling you can have if you have energy and you put everything into this joke and you're saying to yourself, "It's gonna rock, it's gonna rock." Then the crowd's like, "Okay, when you gonna tell us the punchline?" You like 2 seconds past the punchline. So it's just, I mean, and again, like you said, that's a part of timing. You got to be able to feel if the crowd doesn't laugh at this joke or everything, I can roll and do this and everything. And like I said, it's just timing and just composure.
So you have to feel.
Yeah.
You have to feel. It's like an energy between you and them.
Right. And, you know, some of my best performances, some of the best shows I've done was when the crowd was giving the energy back. You know, I just feel like, oh, this is my house, this is my room, this show is my show.
And you can feel it when you know, you got it going on.
You feel it. I mean, if you study comics, it's in their facial expressions and everything. They just put, when they going for it, they just put everything into it. It just works out. It works out well.
Sometimes when you try to drop your punch and everything, and you ain't funny, then the crowd, they start to make fun of you.
Right, but see, one thing you got to be able to do is you got to, on the stage, you have to establish some type of personality, you know, and sometimes the worst jokes you tell are the funniest parts of your routine. It's how you handle it afterward. If you tell a joke and you just know it's going to be funny and everything doesn't work, and you show that to the crowd and everything, then that's where you boo you. But when you find humor in the joke not being funny, then people are just like, okay, let's keep it going, you know. It's just, you know, again, everything is just around timing, you know. You can't let that throw you off. It just boom.
But it's also true that something that worked one night, the next night with a different crowd, it might not.
It's definitely true. That's why you got to just keep, you know, in this business, the people that excel are people that are creative and can constantly write. If you can constantly come up with material and everything, don't have to use other comics material, you know, and with stage presence, time and everything, hopefully you'll make it, you know. But you just got to establish stuff and always have, you can't go up there assuming that 3 jokes are going to work. They may work Monday, but Wednesday it may not work. You know, you just got to be able to go on and go on.
Who are some of your favorite people? Who would you say are some of the greatest comics to you?
You know, me not being in the business too long, I can't really relate to some of the old-time comics, but I guess the new breed, I was saying, this is to go without saying, is Martin Lawrence, Bernie Mac, Bill Bellamy, Teddy Carpenter and everything. And I don't really want to patent myself after anyone, but I like to
You can admire them.
Right, I can admire them and everything. Because people say, do you want to follow Martin Lawrence's footsteps? No, I wouldn't mind walking the same road he walked, you know, but I want to establish my own personality, my own persona. But, you know, I like to say that I like to be versatile, you know, have the hip-hop energy of Martin Lawrence, you know, have the confidence of Teddy Carpenter, and have the clean of Sinbad, you know. You know, you want to be able to mix everything up into one comic, you know, definitely. You know, you don't want to be able to, you know, there's a lot of comics that get set to a pattern where I only can play one club, you know, and me as a comic, I want to be able to play anywhere, you know, not just, well, this comic can work in this club, you know, we need a comedian, I want him to work here, you know, and just come with, you know, being versatile.
And that's important, too, to be versatile. There's some comics that only work white crowds, and there's others that only work black crowds.
Right. It's sometimes, well, I can rock a black crowd, whatever, but what happens when, for some reason, blacks don't want to go to comedy club anymore, you know? You still got to make a living, but you need to be, and that's just making your jokes universal. You know, in a comic, wherever city he's from, whatever, he always has something that he can relate to, everybody can relate to. It's good to be able to, well, this joke will work in Atlanta, this joke will work in Ohio, anywhere I go, this joke will work, you know. That just comes with, you know, studying and doing your craft. People don't think, and it's hard for a person to take comedy serious. You know, you'll say, well, what you want to do? I want to be a comedian. No, seriously, what do you want to do? You know, people don't take it serious until you tell them, well, I did a weekend show here and I got paid $10,000. Oh, so you're a comic now, you know? It's just, it's more serious. And it's the money aspect of it than people say, oh, you're a comedian. But, you know, people think that comic's like volunteer, you know, because people think it's not even fair for a person to entertain, to make you laugh and get paid for it. You know, it's like it's supposed to be a natural gift. I don't know, but, you know, it's just...
It's what society is.
Right, it is. And, you know, like, as far as what